if there is no planet on house 6, does that mean that I'm healthy? In the chat, there's a question.
If there's no house in house 6, does that mean?
No planet on house 6, yeah. Does that mean I'm healthy?
Okay. From a psychology perspective, it means that whatever 6th house represent, not just from a medical perspective here, whatever 6th house represent is not your focus in your life. We normally pay more focus towards house that has a lot of planet over there, I like to call it tenant, a lot of tenants over there, yeah. But it doesn't mean that it's not active. It doesn't mean that it's not working for you. So what we can do is that the same technique that I've been using on Jenna just now. For example, Jenna, her first house is ruled by Leo, right? So we need to know what planet rule Leo. Then we will look at that planet is actually stationed, is actually tenant at which house. Then it can give you some idea about how your 6th house is, like this long. So, I mean, did I answer your question? Basically, psychology-wise, whatever 6th house represent normally is not your focus in life lah. Yeah, that is first thing. In terms of medical wise, we need to see what is your sign first. Then we need to look at where the planet locate. Then from there we can have a better idea about how is the health situation. Yeah, but as a general overview, it still work fine. It still work fine. It's just that there is nothing specific lah, nothing scream out lah like that. Yeah.
There's some more question on the chat.
I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Sagi at house 1 with Saturn and Taurus at house 6. So Sagi is ruled by the planet Jupiter. Yeah. Of course, earlier I was saying that if you have Saturn in that particular house, it will somehow cause some obstacle or some challenges. But I won't just, or determine or close the case just like that. I would want to see where your Jupiter is as well, because from there we can have a better understanding about how the health situation is. But because first house rule not just our response to stress or whatsoever, it also rule our self-image, our physical self. So if someone have Saturn in first house, again, I'm looking from a psychology perspective here. When I look at astrology, I like to look from psychology perspective instead. I mean, medical astrology aside lah. It could mean that when you are responding to things, especially to things that are quite sudden, it could be stress. It could be like people suddenly come and ask you some question like, hey, then you're like, oh, I that that kind of sudden thing. When you have Saturn in first house, this type of response, it could either be slower. Perhaps you want to like process it first before you respond it out, or that people will perceive your response towards them is more cold. It's cold, and also it's also they feel that maybe you're not so approachable. Yeah, so that is from a psychology, from a from a first house general view perspective. From a medical perspective, yes, having Saturn there do alert me, yeah, but I don't want to just determine it like that. I will also want to see where Jupiter is, because if your Jupiter is perhaps in somewhere in a house that is quite good, or is forming some good aspect towards Saturn, then maybe it from a medical perspective it wouldn't be so much of a concern. Yeah, like this long. I'm just like scrolling through the Jupiter in, wait, I'm looking at the chat. Or Jupiter in 5th house. Okay, that means the way for you to release stress is actually to do things that you like. You need to have a hobby. You need to do things that you like. Like I don't know, painting, reading. Your leisure activities are your main form of stress release. Yeah, because your Jupiter is in 5th house. 5th house govern fun, governed leisure activities. Governed, if we have children, is actually fifth house also talk about our first child. It talk about anything that you do that make you feel happy, that make you feel like you're back to being a child again. So you need to do things that make you feel happy. Then you can manage the stress that you've been feeling. Yeah. So, that would be how it works lah. And also you see, it's always connect with each other one. Say someone that have Saturn in first house, like just now I mean our one of our I mean the question that we received here. So she has Sagittarius that rule first house, right? And then Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is in fifth house. Let's just think of it from a very common sense perspective. If today, because you have Saturn in first house, maybe you tend to feel stressed easily, or maybe you tend to feel you are taking on more burden or more responsibility than you should be. That is where the stress coming from. Yeah. And when you respond to stress that time, it also tend to be quite cold, quite unapproachable. That I'm just listing all the possible, maybe a negative aspect of a Saturn. Yeah. But if someone that, you know, has a healthy way of releasing stress, the person do things that he or she likes through the fifth house activities. Maybe the person normally like to maybe swimming, yeah, or maybe the person like to do painting or whatsoever. They do that thing that time, they feel happy, they feel connect back to themselves again, they feel like a child again. When you are happy, from a common sense perspective, definitely it helps you to manage your stress better, right? And not to mention, when you are when you have a healthy way of releasing your stress, it will also perhaps help to, you know, lessen the burden, lessen the defense systems that you'll be putting up, because Saturn is in your first house. Then people will also find you more perhaps more approachable, you know, more easy to communicate, you know, something like that. Yeah. Okay, I should use the word communicate. Is because first house is more just first impression. When we come to communicate, we need to look at the other house. But that is what I would say for your question. Yeah. So, any other question? So, I think to the lady that that raised the question just now, Aries should be the one that rule your fifth house, where your Jupiter is at. Things that can help you to release stress, it has to be something that represented by Aries. What does Aries represent? As I said, Aries is a very action-oriented, very you know, happening kind of sign. It would be something that require you to involve physically. It would be something that need you to go out and maybe run, maybe do something, you know, just like sweat it out, that type of situation, because your fifth house is ruled by Aries. If you have Sagittarius on first house, your Aries should be the one that rule your fifth house. Yeah. Any other question? Any other people, or maybe you all have your chart with you already, then we can talk a bit further. If no, then I think I'll pass the time back to Jenna. Any other question? Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for having me. Okay, so I will share the slide later with Jenna, and perhaps I think Jenna already have all your I mean the email address. How am I supposed to stop the wait? I want to stop it. Okay. Okay, so I think Jenna already have all your email address. So you know, I will share the few slides, and then you can just refer it back lah. So remember, first house is about how we respond to stress. Second house is about our daily routine. Then look into the slide and see what kind of diet you need to follow. Then you can have a healthy body during this crisis, this pandemic time lah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, Esther. Or maybe you want to message me personally. Yeah. So astrology wise is about 2 years lah, 2-3 years. What's my favorite part of astrology? I like so I like evolution astrology more. Is actually looking more from the psychology perspective. That's why I keep saying that I don't look at Saturn as a malefic. I do look at Mars as a malefic planet, because they are all there for us to learn something in our life lah. Yeah. So I normally use because before I was exposed to psychology. Before I was exposed to astrology, I have always been having a very, very hard time in career. I think Jenna would know lah. She's my colleague. Then, so I can always cannot find out why I always have so much challenges in career, even until today. So then when I start learning astrology, that's when I know why I have been facing all these problems in my career. My whatever problem that I face in my career is quite bad shape lah. Whatever you can name it, whatever you can think of, I do face it lah. But I'm not I'm not saying that I'm a victim or whatever, or like being like crybaby or whatever. No, I have Neptune, that planet, in my 10th house. When you have Neptune, that planet in your 10th house, it means that okay, let me just give an example. Jesus Christ, Jesus has Neptune in his 10th house. See how he suffered. How he suffered until he died. Also, I don't know, people still, he was not being really appreciated or thanks, or thanked during during his time when he was around, right? So I have that in my 10th house as well. When I have Neptune in my 10th house, the lesson I need to learn in my life is I have to totally crush my ego. If I can one day, I can reach a state where I am not, affected by my ego. That's when I can really, really, truly say, I can like, wow, master already lah, like that. But that take times lah, because people that have Neptune in 10 houses is quite. I like to say the Hokkien word jialat lah, quite jialat one lah. So I just have to bear with it lah. So yes. When I learn astrology, that's when I understand that why all these things that come to me in my career, that keep on challenging me to surrender, keep on challenging me to succumb to it, even though I want to stand for myself also, sometimes it's quite a challenge also, because it's actually for me to learn to totally surrender my ego. Yeah. Then that's when I start seeing how, if it can benefit myself, it can definitely benefit all of us outside as well lah. That's why that's how I like to use astrology for. More on this what do they call it as an evolution psychology law. Yeah, medical and psychological evolution astrology. Medical astrology, all those is quite whereas it's more traditional actually, but we still have to learn it, because that is how we get to learn different topic in life. You will use different perspective to go and look at it. But from a spiritual development perspective, I love to use from an evolution psychology. What I keep saying psychology, evolution astrology perspective, like that now. Yeah. Yeah, but thanks for asking. And it's so ironic is that I actually grew up from a Christian background, very, very like traditional hardcore Christian family. So it's actually not easy the transformation for me lah, coming from a Christian to astrology. Do you have interest in any other form of metaphysics? Oh yeah. So I liked card reading as well, because I feel that when I couple card reading together with astrology, I can give a better perspective to myself, and also to people that seek for my help lah. Yeah. Card is also a great tool to use to, I feel like, to build the bridges with my clients, or with my people that come and seek for my help, because at tarot card, oracle card, they always have pictures. So and I always like to invite the person to also draw the card themselves, to in a way have their energy touch on the card lah. So they will feel more involved in the session, and they will feel in a way perhaps more take charge of their own destiny lah, like that. So yeah, from metaphysics perspective, I also like to couple astrology with tarot card or oracle card lah. Esther, you are Jenna friend ah? Because I know few of Jenna friend, I think I haven't seen you before. Like this lah. But thanks for all your support. I think I've been talking quite long already. Jenna?
I have a lot of friends ever introduced to you.
That's true. But Esther said better a friend than an enemy. That's true.
But I guess over these 10 days, we kind of like, especially some who have participated in more than one of our sessions, I think we kind of become friends, even virtually, even we have not met, because sometimes we ask like questions, like just now I was asking about my house and houses, right? So we get to know each other a little bit more. So that's the fun part of it lah.
Yeah, lor. So like Jenna, her focus is more on Chinese metaphysics, right?
Yeah.
You see, that's why I mean, us human destiny is very, very interesting in the way is that sometimes when I discuss with her from astrology perspective and her perspective, right, at the end you actually reach a quite a similar conclusion one. About the particular event or about the particular person. So whatever form of metaphysics it is, at the end of the day, I feel it's there actually to give us a guideline, and it's never there to tell us what is going to happen to us. It's there to let us know that this and this happen could indicate this, but it's preparing us. It's like God giving us a little bit of information and see, okay, what had I planned for you for this life? What I want you to achieve? What kind of challenges you might have? And you can know it from astrology lah, like that lor. Yeah. Okay lah, I think I better shut up. If not, I will talk quite a lot. Okay, Jenna.
Well said. Thank you so much again for everyone. Tomorrow we're going to have Esther session. So tomorrow we'll be going to change the meeting ID and the password, because we realized that I think sometimes when we use the same meeting ID, right, apparently some people can't really log in. They have issue logging in. So I'll generate another meeting password, but we will send the message to you guys on the new meeting ID that we'll be using, so that you can join us for tomorrow's session, which is nighttime as well, 8:30. And so that's about it. Today is already the day 10 of our session. I hope that it's not too late yet, that you can also share this, our Mindful Living project, with your friends. Give them something interesting to learn during this time. We still have 2 sessions, going to be very interesting session as well, so that they can join us and learn something new during this time in areas of metaphysics. So thank you again for joining, and good night, everyone.